Why would the DOJ go after one of the states in the union for trying to keep people that should not be voting off the voter roll? Ask yourself that. Why would they want people who are illegally voting to keep illegally voting? Well, that's a pretty easy answer. But we're going to discuss it today because there was some crazy news that came out of a state in the union that is trying to clean up their rolls but can't because the Biden-Harris administration, along with their DOJ, is suing them. Crazy. We're going to talk about also how many convicted bad people that we have just let in. It's mind-blowing. I will say this, it's enough to fill a stadium, not once, not twice, maybe 4 times. And you know, when you think about these stories, let's end it and let's talk about it. Are we upset that we're angry? Is it bad that Trump is angry? Is it bad that Americans are angry? I don't think so. Today we're going to talk about that too. True anger or false joy, because that's what the other side's selling. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now, before we jump into the video, thank you so much for watching our content and sharing our content. I don't humbly thank you enough, but I truly thank you for watching my content. It means the world to me, and I thank you also for watching Misty's content. We're also, we have a surprise coming soon. We're going to release next week. We'll talk about it. A good announcement, I think, that you'll enjoy because it means the world to me that you are sharing life with us, and I can't wait to share that with you. Now, let's go back to the video, and we'll discuss the other things later. Now, what is the case with Alabama? What is going on? The DOJ comes out and is suing Alabama to try to keep potential non-citizens and illegals on the voter ballots. Now, isn't that a little crazy? This story is from Zero Hedge. It says DOJ sues Alabama for voter rolls that they're trying to purge and targeting non-citizens. The DOJ has filed a lawsuit against the state of Alabama, accusing the state of breaking the law when it comes to voter purge programs. So Alabama's trying to clean their voter rolls up, trying to make sure that the person that died 4 years ago is still not voting, trying to make sure that the people who are coming in illegally are not voting, making sure they're cleaning it up, like every state should. And why? Why would they go after and target this one state? Again, one of the reddest states in the union. But it's one of those things that if they can corrupt this county, this area, this city, and they can pour more people and more falsities there, then pretty much they can swing elections. Why would you think the DOJ wants to hinder the movement of integrity of an election in its own country? That should tell you everything you need to know about how they choose to win. They choose to win by not actually following law, but bending it, interpreting different, to a point where most battleground states are having issues just like this. I talked about it yesterday. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people cleaned up on one state. And here Alabama's trying to do it too, and the DOJ is going to sue them? Why would we want our elections non-safe? Well, when it's non-safe and the integrity is not there and they can use a sleight of hand. It's kind of like a magic trick. You know, when you have something here, you're actually dabbling something right here, and it's really not magic. It just makes the illusion to think that it's magic. Your mind plays tricks on you. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. They poured more people in this country, and now Kamala literally, it was so funny, the border union came out and said, why is she even down here? She's had 3 years to be down here, and now she wants to come down here and walk the border and pretty much try to take credit for Trump and take credit for Trump's border wall and security, but then all of a sudden say that Trump was the cause of this? And it's the same way. It's a sleight of hand, a magical trick that politicians love using. Sleazy politicians do this all the time, where they want you to look at this hand while they're doing something else. And that's exactly what's happening here. The more people they pour into the states, Then all of a sudden they wrap you up with lawsuits, and then all of a sudden you settle, and then therefore you have more citizens than you actually have. You have more people voting than you do actually citizens. And so then you end up having non-citizens voting in your election to decide who your president is going to be. Now, I told you, I don't know if you watched my Max Life video with Misty on our vlog channel, but we're in Florida. And the part of Florida we're in, I have no problem with people coming in, but the sad thing is, we were to a point where we went in Walmart and we couldn't even find someone to speak English. I mean, we're in Florida. We're in Orlando. So we couldn't even find someone to speak English to us unless it was a second language and they were just kind of bit and piecing it together. Now, is it that person's fault? No, it's the fact that we have not assimilated as a nation to start building those core values and morals. Actually, two people that we talked about, you could tell they both were not citizens. They had some kind of pass to be here, to work. And again, not that I don't want them to provide for their family, but I guess we got to get to the point where we realize what's important to our nation. Is it okay for them to come work? Absolutely. But they shouldn't have a say in our elections. Is it okay for them to come farm and help when workers that farmers can't find? Okay. Let's make sure they come through the proper channels and they are documented well and they're not setting policy and precedent for our elections. And it's sad that our DOJ wants to hinder a state trying to clean up their own voter rolls to make the process even more integral and honest approach. We don't want a third world country nation. We don't want a third world country voting bloc. We want just what we had before the last few years, that we all went crazy to think that we got to vote for a month or vote for over 6 months or have 4 days or 5 days or 6 weeks or 2 months to decide who actually president is because they can't count their votes. That's pathetic. And the DOJ is working against that. And I think I know why, because that's maybe the only way they win. Which brings me to my second story. Colin Rugg shared these numbers on Twitter, and it says, just in the new ICE report reveals that Biden-Harris administration has let in 425,000 illegal immigrants who are convicted criminals. Now, they've let in millions. We know that. Millions. But of those millions, 425,000 are known convicted criminals. It says, the report shows the following. And here's the thing. Do you realize how much 425,000 is? It can fill up the Michigan State football stadium 4 times. And that's the amount of people. Not only the people we release way more than that. It's the number of convicted criminals from other places. Actually, Trump was right. He said that exactly what they're doing. They're sending their criminals here, not their best. And I love when Democrats try to spin and say, oh, we need these workers here. If they're not best and they're convicted criminals and they're coming here illegal, do you honestly believe that we're getting their best? Doubtful. Of those numbers, listen to this. 13,000 have been convicted of murder. 15,800 has been convicted of harassment issues, if you know what I mean. And then 425,000 are normal convicted criminals that have served time or was serving time in some capacity for breaking the law. Essentially what that means is the migrants who were encountered by DHS to get that information are no longer in federal custody. They just released them. I mean, I think of it like this. If I turned around and I lit a fire in this room and it got as hot as I can, don't you think that fire would impact the next room? And maybe the room underneath me? Maybe the room above me? Why? Because it's spreading. It's changing. It's adding additions to. So that the additions are, it's making an impact. That fire is making an impact and it's going to keep on spreading. Well, if all of a sudden we open it up to where we bring more people in who are breaking the law and who's okay with breaking the law, and we're also bringing in convicted felons, convicted criminals in other areas, and then we're not deporting them, we're just releasing them back in our communities, don't you think that's going to spread? Don't you think the problems are going to spread? Don't you think the issues are going to happen to where you can't control it, especially in the cities? It's going to spread like a virus. Because what is going to happen is people are going to be to a point where it's like, well, we can just break the law because no one's going to stop us. We're breaking the law now. We broke the law, and all of a sudden they send us over here, and now we're in America, and the government's giving us money, and we make them vote in their elections. And then when we do something stupid, they just let us out and just pat us on the hand. we might as well keep living this life. That's exactly what's going to happen. And therefore, we have now imported 500,000 convicted criminals. That's not counting the terrorists that's come across the border. It's not counting the millions of people that's coming across the border, the military-aged men who are not just children and women. 450. I mean, just a ton of people coming over that are convicted criminals. And we want them walking the streets and going around our families and around our people and around our children. Sometimes I wonder how Democrats or how even the Rhino Republicans, how can they vote for this and think this is going to actually work out good for America? Because it's not. Who actually thinks it's going to work out good for them? No one but the politicians who's going to keep pushing the narratives because it gives them more power, because then they lock up the vote. And the last thing I want to mention is anger versus joy. Now, joy sounds better, I mean, for sure. But then let's add two more words to it. Righteous anger, or respected anger, or controlled anger, versus fake joy, versus blinded joy, versus foolish joy. Now, what changed those words? It took the two words that anger being bad now looks good, and joy that makes you feel good actually looks bad. Now, the purpose of what I'm saying is, and this is kind of a Zero Hedge article that also mentioned this too. People say, well, Trump looks angry. He's always screaming. Well, I'll be honest with you. We should be angry. We should be upset. We should get mad at Congress because of not passing right bills, and then they're complaining. I don't want to see my congressman send pictures on Twitter about these people breaking the law and going across the border, and they're like, oh, we're going to end it one day. I don't want to see the fact that they're going to help the money situation. They're letting it falter. So what I'm trying to say is this. I'm angry. I want better. So I don't want to just be angry. I want to have purpose. So what is that purpose? Well, we have to be proactive. We have to push the right people in. The fact that Trump's even running, again, a 78-year-old man who is an ultra-billionaire that did not need the spotlight any more than he already had. He was famous. And he gave it all up pretty much for you and me. So, yeah, he should be angry. They're using lawfare against him. They're using everything under the sun. So our anger as conservatives is, to me, I would say controlled anger. I would say it's a focused anger, because we are sick and tired of seeing our country go to nothing. And until we get control of the border with 425,000 criminals that's coming over, and not only that, the fact that we're just opening up for millions of people who are not just women and children, they're literally army, military fighting men that age. So yes, I'm angry. The fact that my dollars don't buy nearly as much at the grocery, yes, I'm angry. Now let's spin that. Kamala's talking about joy. What is joyous about paying 30 or 40 more % at Walmart or at whatever grocery store you're going to? What's more joyous than the fact that you can't afford your own bills because you're in debt up to your eyeballs because of credit card debt that you couldn't afford, the vehicles you couldn't afford? So joy sounds good, but it's also a false hope, a false joy. Something that's not real when all of a sudden the economy is falling to pieces just because the Fed wants to lower rates or just because they want to tell you that it's better doesn't actually mean it's better. Now, can speculation change things? Yes. But ultimately, joy? What joy is it that most Americans are feeling when there's two world wars that could easily jump off and bring us right into it? Middle East and Russia. And now you're hearing signs that Russia's going over to Syria and Israel's doing no-fly zones. This is finna get real. Instead of false joy and tell us what we want to hear and that the economy's good and that everything looks great, I would rather have more of one that's being honest, a true realist. Well, it's kind of like the channel. My goal is never to be, to a point where I'm trying to make you fear. But we have to see what reality that we're living in. And the reality that we're living in is not joyous. I'm not joyous when I have to go to the grocery store and pay 20 to 30 more %. I'm not joyous when I have credit card debt up to my eyeballs and I can't really afford to make it because I'm having to live off credit cards. I'm not joyous when I have to pay all these bills and I see other people that the government's handing money to, but then I'm the one struggling to work to pay for my goods, but also pay taxes to pay for their goods. That doesn't make me joyous. It's a false hope in that, a false joy. It actually makes me have a righteous anger, a controlled anger to say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. And I think we all are sick and tired of it. And to be honest with you, we should be sick and tired of it. But at the same time, I'm hoping that with us being sick and tired, that we elect the people that represent us. Because I get tired of hearing the same old from all of these politicians and how they're going to help us and do better. Because like Mike Johnson dropped the ball, like he has many a time. Like most other politicians, it's hard to trust them because it's like, man, what are you vying for votes or are you actually doing something for me? They can make a difference. We can make a difference. But sometimes being angry is not a bad thing. When they say Trump's angry, I don't think he's angry. I think he's passionate. And that's actually what makes him a good leader. Guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories. I guess it just upsets me that we're allowing the worst of the worst into America, and then we expect to rehabilitate them and make them better. And I don't see it. I think that's a good, positive, joyous thing to think about. That's a false hope. And the truth is, our country is struggling. We're in a bad way. And it's time for us to fix that. Guys, let me know your thoughts. God bless.